Love is an action involving dynamic reality. It's beyond anything that words could capture. Unfortunately, we love using words a lot in our communication, to the point where we neglect the importance of our actions versus our words. And this relates to everything we do, everything we say. To each other. We have come to assume that by using the right words, we are conveying the right meaning of life. We are making a transaction of facts, of truths to each other by the mere exchange of words. In a way, words are like paper currency. It's like IOUs almost. I owe you this. Paper currency in reality is only as worth as those assets that are being used as collateral, such as gold, diamond, precious items, metals, etc. Of course, some might disagree with that, given that some countries do not anymore use that method of putting up a collateral to increase the value of their paper money, which is a currency of exchange between individuals, countries, companies, etc. But the paper itself, really, it can lose its value overnight. It is like that with words. In fact, words are far weaker than paper money. What I mean by that is, so long as it's not validated by the showing of what those sentiments or what that sentiment denotes, meaning love. When you're saying to someone, I love you, without really considering what you would do to display that love, to show that love to that person. So I invite the questioner to look at love, and every time we use that phrase, I love you, or somebody uses it to address you, to say those lovely words, in essence. I'm not going to demean it or minimize its importance, but in fact, that's what I'm trying to do, to the opposite of that, to highlight the importance of what that phrase really does signify when all the other factors are in place, such as true caring. What is the collateral behind I love you? Are you putting anything in there? It's like using a credit card that has no funds available. In the old days, when credit cards were relatively new, if you ended up using a credit card that had no funds left, let's say you're at a restaurant, at a store, and they swiped it, and it starts blinking and it says no funds available. Some places had the right to take out the scissors and cut your card in half in front of you. Talk about embarrassment. So what does that mean, I love you? What does it really mean? You have, I remember in the 80s, it used to happen a lot in award ceremonies or concerts even. Artists or individuals who would be receiving awards, they would get up and say, I love you to thousands of people. When I was a teenager, I was like, really? Seriously, do you really love anyone? Do you know them? Do you know anyone in that crowd of thousands of people? And if you do you really love them? Of course not. They don't. It's just like it's a heightened state of excitedness. They're on the stage, everybody's attention's on them. They just received an award, for example. Or when you are at your own event, maybe a wedding, this, that, or a birthday, and you turn around and you tell to everybody, especially when there's alcohol involved, people get up and say, I love you for coming, I thank you for coming, I love you, you. But really? Couples say this to a lot of each other. Friends, and, parents, especially children, offspring, say that to their parents. But my question is, really, do we really mean it? And how do you mean it? By having concern for the other person. By showing that you care beyond the words, because the words aren't necessary. Actions are necessary. How do you display your care and consideration for the other person? That says volumes more than the words, I love you, which in essence, therefore, I consider to be empty, if it is not supported by real, genuine care and love that is embodied in actionable displays of empathy, where the other person's needs are your needs, where you are full of gratitude for the other person's role in life, what they have done to you, for you. The Buddha talks about the parents, for example, being the primary teachers. In the numerical discourses, the Buddha mentions this clearly. He says, before anyone, your parents are your primary teachers, your mother and father. They have taken care of you when, nobody knew you because you were a nobody. You were a baby, totally, completely vulnerable, reliant on other people's attention and care of you, for you. Now, of course, in some cases, you have unpleasant situations happening where the mother and father or either one of them neglects the offspring in one way or the other. This is not about them. Anyone who has played that maternal or paternal role for you, of showing care and love, nurtured you, protected you, guided you, showed you the right from the wrong path, helped you with discipline and structure and expanded your horizons of thinking, feeling, understanding, knowing the world. Do you have anyone like that in your life? And if you do, when was the last time you've spoken to them? When was the last time you've done something for them, to them? It's, besides saying I love you. In Chinese culture, there's a beautiful tradition. Every Chinese person, everyone who has Chinese heritage understands this beautifully. When I came to know about this, I was just, wow. Instead of saying I love you, even though they do say that, of course, but there's another phrase that they like to use, which is so drenched in care and consideration. And it is basically, did you have something to eat today? Did you eat? Have you had some food? Is your tummy full? I was floored when I first heard this. It's so complete with care. You go beyond walls. There's no walls. You're going straight into the jugular of life. You're being extremely pragmatic, practical by going into the very existential reality of the person. Is the person hungry? So you're looking at the most essential part of the person's well-being, which is nourishment. Are you nourished? That's what you're asking, which is so beautiful in its maternal qualities, its paternal caring qualities of love. As Buddhist monks, we rely on individuals' kindness, generosity. The Dhamma we have is the result of Buddhist monks carrying the Dhamma to the footsteps of the 21st century. One, through our practice, individual practice, and two, by our studying and understanding the Dhamma and sharing the Dhamma with all others, generously giving it away. In turn, the laity bears the responsibility of catering to the needs of those monks. And basically those are 4 needs, requisites: food, robes, shelter, and medicine whenever it's necessary. Basic. That is the way that the laity says, householders say to the bhikkhu, to the monk, thank you, I love you. I love the Dhamma that you're giving me. I appreciate you. Just like the child says to the parents. In many Asian countries, the child bows to the parents every time they wake up. Every time they go to bed to retire, they do that again. They bow down to the parents, whom they call the primary teacher in the household. So when you are saying, I love you, are you really saying, did you have something to eat today? Because that also entails that if the person says to you in response, no, I haven't, or I didn't eat anything, you're going to go to work and prepare something, or say, hold on, and go grab something for them so that they can eat. That's love. When a person comes to the bhikkhu asking questions about some issue that they're struggling with, some questions on the Dhamma, to gain some clarity, so that they can enhance their understanding, so that they can live better lives and practice the Dhamma, and deepen their practice, and gain harmony within themselves, a state of equanimity in the mind, and discipline, to live better lives, basically. In response, the laity comes back and shows that appreciation, gratitude to the monk by the display of catering to, helping with those requisites I mentioned. But in daily lay life with householders, those who are not ordained, those who are not monks, not monastics. How do you show that? How does that, I'm going to use that word again, transaction take place? It could be by the mere fact that you listen to the other person when they're talking. That means you're giving them your attention. And you don't jump in, you don't interfere, you don't interrupt their flow of thoughts and words. You allow them to speak and know the moment that they pause or they stop speaking, that's not the green light for you to go ahead and unload your yeah buts, to deny what they said, to take away the credibility of whatever they think was important for them. You have to take a moment to pause and really mean it when you say, I'm thinking about what you said. And that's a big gift already. People don't do that. Couples don't do that. Parents, I've seen say, and children too, give back, back and forth those words. I love you, mom, I love you, dad, and then that's it. And is there some weight behind it, behind those words? Are they really loaded with real emotion, real care, real attention, and real appreciation and gratitude? Because I've seen other cases where actual people I've met in my life, I've known them, where they would buy the attention of the child, the teenager, by buying them things, instead of sitting with them to listen to them. Even if what they're talking about, the child, the adolescent, is uninteresting, or you have nothing in common with that, does not mean you should neglect them or just buy their affection by actually buying things for them, and to hope that that would somehow land in the mind and the hearts of your children rather, as meaning, oh, mom and dad love me. No, it will never replace real, actionable presence from you to spend time with your child, to spend time with your friend, to spend time with your parents. When was the last time that you washed your parents' feet? Or massaged them? Forget about washing, because some people might feel, ooh, I don't do that. We don't do that in our culture or in our family. It doesn't matter. When was the last time you said, Dad, can I massage your hands? Really? Or you might say, well, I don't like touching. Okay. Why don't you go ahead and buy mom and dad a nice reflexology session? Buy them a coupon, get them a gift certificate to send them for a day spa. When was the last time you bought your parents something to show, especially if it's something that they always liked? Before my father died, a bit of disclosure, I guess. On his birthday, I wanted to surprise him. So I took him to a place by the beach, and I said, Dad, it's on me, don't worry. So I said, what would you like? So he said, okay, I will get seafood. I said, okay. So I made the arrangements, and I made sure first that he didn't have anything on that day. So anyhow, we go, but I made sure that I reserved the restaurant that was, excuse me, right across the street from where they were having Cirque du Soleil. And my dad loved the circus. He loved it before he died. All his life he would say, oh yeah, this acrobatic, But I never recall him telling us that he ever gone to see one. So as we're after dinner, we're walking, so I'm walking. By that time, he was walking with a cane. So I said, "Okay, let's walk a little bit on the sand if you like." And he said, "Yes." So it was a beautiful sunset, and he looked at the big white tents close to the spot we were. He said, "What is that?" And I said, "It looks like a circus." So he's like, "Oh, I wonder if we can get in." I said, "No, that's not going to be possible." I was a layman at the time. Excuse me. And he says, "Yeah, well, what if we, just like a little kid?" Meanwhile, I have the tickets in my pocket. Front row seats I had bought for us. He didn't know anything about that. And so we approached. He's like, "No, let's go approach." And I pretended that I'm approaching and talking to the thing. Meanwhile, I went and I asked. He didn't understand what I was saying because he was a little bit far. He was standing there by the bench. And I asked them, "When can we get in?" And they said, "Oh, in 15 minutes." And I said, "Okay." So I came back and I said, "Sorry, Dad, they're all sold out." And he's like, "Oh, that's a bummer. He would have been nice, etc." Meanwhile, I'm like, now I'm the kid jumping inside of my heart is jumping. I'm so excited of what this would mean in appreciation for my father who did so much for us. So much. And my mom had already died 25 years earlier, by the way. So anyhow, long story short, I said, "I think I'm going to go ahead. Maybe I can just pay someone. I can buy their ticket. Let me go." So we approached the entrance, and I just said, I presented my ticket, so they showed us where it is. And my dad is wondering, like, what's happening? Because he didn't speak much English. So anyhow, I said, "I think they're just going to let us sit here for a while, hoping that those people don't show up." So he's like, "Okay, Eventually, he figured out. He's like, "Is this our ticket, our seats?" And I said, "Yes, Dad. Happy birthday." And it was very beautiful. And he saw all the acrobats, this and that. He had never seen this. And I was so trying to show my father appreciation. But then a few years later, when he was incapacitated, he fell and he broke his shoulders and fractured them. We had to do many things for him to help him. To me, that says, "I love you." I might have squeezed it in there. By the way, in our family, nobody said, "I love you." Nobody. It was a difficult curve. It was a steep curve for many people to learn how to use that in our family. But I think it is the case with many families, many individuals. So when you're saying "I love you," are you saying, "Did you have something to eat? Is your stomach growling? Or are you well fed? Are you satiated? Do I have to worry about you?" If you're coming with that environment in your heart, in your mindset, as you're uttering the words, "I love you," then it's such a beautiful thing you're doing. Because the listener will identify very quickly the authenticity of your words, the meaningfulness of the words. Unfortunately, in most cases, it is empty, shallow, totally empty. Today, these days, people send emojis or just texting you, "I love you," and this and that, and it's like, okay. And it doesn't do anything. It means nothing. Nothing whatsoever when there is no display of appreciation, care, love. What does this person need? Basically, another way of asking, if you ever need anything, I need to help you. That's a showing of affection and care and gratitude. More so than saying "I love you," but it's cheap. It's the cheapest thing. You go and buy cards, "I love you," yeah. Okay, that settles it. Okay, I buy you some, I don't know, some food or chocolate. Okay, that settles it for a whole year. And that's what people do, celebrating, right? Christmas is coming for Christians and most of the world, I would say. People would buy gifts to show love, and that becomes a chore for so many people. It's all about the gifts instead of what that means to be around each other. And this is an opportunity to show love, show the other person that you care. And if you don't, at least don't fake it, I would say. Find reasons to sit down and make a list of things, whether this person is really, really that terrible of a being to be around, or have they really done some things that were or are difficult things for you to do to someone else, for someone else. But they have done it for you. Already that's your opportunity, that's your window of showing gratitude to someone else, to see the other person in a new light. Unfortunately, we live in a culture that is so self-obsessed. It's all about me, what's in it for me? And that mentality, that drive, does not know how to appreciate. The Buddha says in more than one place in the discourses how it is so rare to find someone who has gratitude for someone else, to show gratitude for someone else. In this time period we're living in really attests to that, is a sad evidence of that. But it doesn't have to be. We can change that with our own interactions with each other. So please don't send anyone emojis and this and that saying, hey, I sent you happy birthday yesterday, like, how come you didn't respond? I was like, okay, what did you just send? They sent you a picture, an emoji of a cake and an emoji of happy birthday. And that qualifies for them really telling you, I love you, I care about you, you mean something to me, enough for me to take a moment from my day and say to you, you take that, and then on the other hand, you spend some effort, some time to prepare something for the other person. Either it's a voice message, or writing something by hand, or typing something yourself, doing something personal for the other person to show your appreciation. It doesn't have to be always something monetary, something of material value, but it doesn't hurt. It has to be something that the other person also needs or resonates with. And everybody's hungry at one point or another. So to say, did you eat today? In my book, is always more valuable, holds more value than, I love you, which is kind of similar to its significance to the words that I used to hear as a high school teacher. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I would stop students, high school students. I was like, don't tell me I'm sorry. Really, it means nothing. You're just buying time or something. What does I'm sorry mean for you? What does I love you mean for you? It has to have some significance for you first. And it has to be actionable. I'm sorry, you might say or you might not say, but what I'm sorry stands for means I won't do it again. I apologize. I feel stupid for having done that. I disrespected you, this and that, and I'm sorry. I will make sure it doesn't happen again. It was a slip-up on my part. I'm terribly sorry. Okay. And you're showing that with your behavior transformation. So if somebody's helping you over the years, if somebody's been there for you, guiding you, protecting you, nurturing you, etc., when nobody else does especially, How do you say to them, I love you? How do you show to them that you love them, that you have gratitude towards them? I think whatever I just said should serve as an example. You need to first sit down with yourself and ask, do I really want to say I love you then? If it doesn't flow out of you, the generosity, because you must have the generosity to give the other person time, for example, as I was saying, to listen to them while they're speaking. You have to have generosity to consider their feelings and their physical well-being by saying to them, did you have anything to eat today? That means you came out of your what's in it for me world, and you entered the other person's world, and you're saying to them, I care enough about you, I care about you, did you have anything to eat? Because if you say, no, I'm ready, one foot is out the door because I'm about to go grab you something to eat, that has to be behind it. It's not just mere words. And this culture seems to love words. And the words also have lost their meaning, by the way. They've butchered the words that we use. And that affects our psyche, our behavior as individuals. Society is highly affected by the words we use. And that's why most of the things that people talk about, the words that they express, they're really not expressing true emotions. They don't know what truth is anymore. That's why you watch the news, but it's a joke. You speak to someone and it's not their voice that you're hearing. It's the conglomeration or the aggregates of other people's voices. They don't even have a voice. You read entire books. I read entire books. And I'm like looking for what is this author saying about this title. There's nothing. Plenty of footnotes, 70 pages of introduction, but there's nothing. Just empty. Blah, 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 blah. Lifeless. That's why to be in the present moment, drenched in care for one another, that's a wonderful start. To show gratitude for each other, that's a wonderful start. And you can build on that. And the Dhamma is all about that, to be living truthfully. It's very juicy, the Dhamma. It's replenishing. As the weak word, love, is trying to represent. It's trying to represent an ocean. An ocean of grand possibilities, of connectivity between each other and within oneself. So you can start even with yourself. As a therapist, I used to encourage my patients to, when they wake up in the morning, to look in the mirror and say, I love you. I would encourage that. I had so many different people say, gave me the look, like, are you crazy? I said, no, work with me here. Just try it for one time. And then they would come back and they would say, it was very weird, and then what happened? I started crying, many of them said. They touched something real, beyond words. Beyond words. So I'll stop here. May it be helpful.